Hello my friends, how are you? And welcome to a bit of surprising news that's just dropped now over the weekend. For the first time in 20 years. Oh my God, it feels weird saying that. Okay, but for the first time in 20 years, Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper will be flying in the TARDIS together again, and I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. They're going to come back together on the Big Finish audio dramas, and anyone who listens to those knows they're just so much fun. And we've got such a wonderful expanded Doctor Who universe because of them. This is designed to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the return of Doctor Who. So if you can imagine, cast your mind all the way back to 2005, those of us who can, and the world was a very different place. We were all having our tips frosted, and I was still in school, which makes me seem oh so old right now. Ellie was basically a fetus at this point, so, you know, listen, give us a break here. Yeah. Danny, who's editing this right now, thinks he's going to get away with it as well. I'm pretty sure he was still in nappies. But it was a different place in 2005, and Doctor Who, as fun and as much of a part of history as it was, it hadn't quite, I guess hit the global scale that everything seems to hit these days. It was fun, it was campy, and I mean that with a capital camp, because I remember, yes, I can remember that back that far, watching Rose with my dad as we were sitting there in the living room, and I thought, like, why are those store mannequins moving? What's going on? Like, that's one heck of an SD in consciousness. Now, bear in mind, I was a bit of a late convert to Doctor Who, so I wasn't quite as aware of the Autons going into the episode. And it was such a fun way to be introduced to the franchise. To celebrate this big 20-year return, they're going to start releasing new stories in August. And I say start releasing because 12 hour-long episodes have been confirmed. That's effectively going to double the amount of time that Eccleston and Billie Piper spent together in the TARDIS. Because, you know, Nine and Rose, of course, had their one season, and then Eccleston was out, David Tennant was in, and it was 10 and Rose. And they, up onto a certain point, like, they haven't done a reunion in the way that, well, pretty much everybody else has done a reunion in Doctor Who. But sure, listen, this is exciting. This is something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. My first question when I saw this is like, oh, is this going to be an Elseworlds thing? Is this going to be, you know, new adventure? You know, is Eccleston playing the 16th Doctor? No, he is still Nine, she is still Rose, and these stories are set to slot into the series that they were on together. And I'm actually kind of here for that, because there is something about their parting of the ways, if you will, that I sort of don't want to spoil, because it ended, I think, for all of what went on behind the scenes, quite perfectly. And that emotion that was in that scene, the fun, as sad as it was, I quite like that as their ending. And you know, I know, we all know that time is effectively kind of meaningless when it comes to Doctor Who. You know, it's sort of part and parcel with the franchise here. So the idea that they spent an awful lot longer together than we saw on screen makes perfect sense. But also, sure, remember, after Rose, they go off in the TARDIS, they do the end of the world, and then when they come back, it's been a year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing these stories. Speaking of that year when they were away, and then Rose comes back, and of course there's missing posters everywhere. Who put those missing posters up? Well, one of those people is Jackie Tyler, and Jackie is going to be in this audio series. Now, as of recording, Camille Coduri has, like, her name is not on the cast list, but she's done an awful lot of Big Finish before, so I can't see her not returning to the role. So we may get Nine, Rose, and Jackie together again. We're going to take another trip back to the Powell estate, which some of my favourite Doctor Who moments, honestly, have been in that little flat in the Powell estate, so I really hope they do visit there. We've also been teased with Friends and Enemies Old and New. Whatever happened to Margaret Blaine, by the way? Is she still an egg? You know, I kind of, for as much as I rag on the Slitheen, and I will do it again, please don't get me wrong, but Boomtown was a banger of an episode. I would kind of like to see, if not, well, I suppose if my own rule is you know, I don't want the ending necessarily to change. I guess you'd have to fit another adventure in between Boomtown and Bad Wolf. Not saying it can't be done. But who else would we like to see, for example? Nine, of course, the stellar episode Dalek comes in season, the 2005, it's kind of hard to keep track, 9's season. But he didn't meet the Cybermen. But then, of course, he did in the Big Finish ones, but he didn't meet them with Rose, so I would like to see an adventure of 9, Rose, and the Cybermen as well. Now, where that fits into timeline, because of course Rose meets the Cybermen over when she's meeting Ricky as well, more on that in a moment. I also wouldn't mind seeing 9 and Rose meet some of the villains that popped up later on. Like if you take, for example, the Weeping Angels, the Doctor knew who they were, and the companion in that episode was Martha for the blink and you'll miss it moments that she was in the episode. So it wouldn't really spoil anything timeline-wise to have 9 and Rose bump into them as well. Of course, when we look back at that season of Doctor Who, Noel Clarke's Mickey was a big part of that season, and of course John Barrowman's Captain Jack Harkness was introduced in that season. I cannot see either of them returning to their roles for this Big Finish audio for, I guess, fairly obvious reasons. That doesn't mean, I guess, that their characters can't return. And then we come across this idea of, you know, do we recast or do we not? And I don't really know where I fall on that. I think it probably would introduce more headaches than not to bring the characters in, especially if they're going to slot into the season as it already exists. I think it'll be easier not to include Captain Jack because he comes in kind of toward the back half of the season and then is fairly involved in all of the adventures from that point on. Whereas Mickey was sort of, you know, kind of a recurring background character almost. And of course, he would be a companion adjacent when David Tennant becomes the Doctor. I think I probably wouldn't be massively shocked if he makes an appearance, possibly with a recast. And I'm not against the characters coming back, certainly not, because I guess I also don't want to not have the characters in stories just because of all of the real world things that were going on. That may be slightly controversial. You might disagree, that's absolutely fine. I respect you if you do. I'm not really sure is the short and long answer to where I fall on that one. I will say I don't see it happening. I don't see those characters being involved. Saying that, I also said Eccleston would never come back to Doctor Who, and well, I keep getting proved wrong about that every Tuesday. In the trailer that was released for this audio adventure, you see things like graffiti for Bad Wolf, you see Rose's Union flag top that's hanging on a clothes rack as well. So I am certain, because of, again, where this falls in the timeline, it is going to be chock-a-block full of Easter eggs and nods to the overall series. So half the fun of these kind of things is going to be keeping an eye out for that as well. Also, doing it in an audio version. I am down with that. I am so excited for this. I'm so excited for the pair of them to be back together. And also, again, terrifying as it is to think that it's the 20th anniversary, what a wonderful anniversary gift for everyone, for those with whom new Doctor Who was their gateway into Doctor Who. What just a great gift for everyone. As I say, this will begin launching in August of 2025. Until then, keep things wibbly wobbly, you look after yourself, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks very much.